kind of dark in here. I think it's time to shed some light on the subject. I love this old truck, but there are things that manufacturers upgraded throughout the years for a reason, and one of those things is the old sealed beam headlights. Those lights might have been state-of-the-art back in the 70s and 60s, but nowadays there's a lot better options, and we're going to look at one of those now. We're spending some time driving at night in this truck on and off for the last couple years. One thing that I've come to realize is the headlights really need an upgrade. So I looked at several different ways of doing this, and ultimately what I decided to do was to just go on eBay and find some cases to upgrade to the H4 bulbs. Now I see this all the time at car shows and cruise-ins. Guys will usually upgrade, and what they usually end up getting is something that I'm not really into. They'll get the plastic looking lights that you can see the reflectors inside, or maybe it's got the halo around it like my wife's Camaro. That's cool on her Camaro. That looks good on modern cars, but on my old truck, you know, the point from the very beginning was I wanted it to look like an old truck. I don't necessarily want to keep it several different colors, but I do want to keep that classic truck look to it. So after digging around on eBay for a while, I managed to find these. These are H4 conversion lenses that keep the look of the original sealed beam lens. They have a glass front to them instead of plastic. There's no halo, there's no, you know, shiny reflectors. As a matter of fact, you can barely see the H4 bulb in there. And I really like this because I think this is going to give me a lot more lighting without taking away from, you know, the original look of the truck. Now, if you flip these over, you can see you've got this sealing ring here to keep moisture out. And then you've got your H4 bulb. Now, these particular H4 bulbs that came with the light, it says they were 5,000 K. I actually want to go up to probably 6,000 K. I want that bright white look. But for what I paid for these will do for now. But these fixtures came with the bulbs. Like I said, they're supposed to be 5,000 K. That's the color temperature, so that's the brightness of them. 5,000 K usually still has a little bit of yellow tint to it. That's the color when you buy, you know, like bulbs for your house or something like that. They'll call it daylight. Is usually around 5,000 K. I like to go a step above that. I like to get to 6,000. You know, I want it to be as white as possible before it hits that blue hue. I don't really care for the blue. But yeah, this is the bulbs. And I will get on the computer real quick and show you the eBay seller I bought these from. Here's the eBay seller. Stark Lights. Normal price is $45.81, and that includes free shipping. But they're currently on sale right now for $25 off. So this is what I paid for them, guys. $34.36. And I actually had someone in a previous video that was asking for it was on one of my product review videos. They were asking for a link. eBay links are funny because what happens is if I post a link in the description, I have to keep renewing that link every time the time runs out on an auction. So like say this has, you know, 4 hours or whatever left on the auction, or 4 days or whatever left on the auction. At the end of 4 days, that link's going to go dead, guys. So what I would rather do is just tell you, you know, you can type this in, or you don't even have to type all that in. You can just type glass housing, 7-inch conversion lamps, and this will come up, guys. Just all you have to do is go to eBay and search, and you'll find these. Start with the installation. I just want to say, I'm liking the quality of these, and as I've already said, I like that they look like original sealed beam. I really wish there was a little more, you know, maybe silicone or something caulking around the edge here where the glass actually meets the metal backing. But I can remedy that, and plus our trim ring actually goes around there, so you're not going to see that part anyway, but I may seal it with some silicone before we do this install, just to make sure no moisture gets inside. Now, a lot of people overlook something when they're doing these conversions on their trucks. Yes, this is plug and play, guys. The reason we use the H4 bulbs is because the H4 bulb actually has a 3-prong style connector, just like the original seal beam bulbs, you know. So technically, yes, you can take this assembly here and you can plug it right in and it'll function just like your factory assembly. But that's part of the problem. One of the reasons that your factory seal beam headlights are so dim, it isn't necessarily the light themselves. I'm choosing to upgrade the light itself because I want the ability to put different bulbs in, and somewhere down the road I may actually even step up to, you know, some of the newer CREE LED bulbs or something like that. But one of the really big reasons that these sealed beam lights on the older cars are so dim, it's not the bulb itself, it's actually the wiring. Most of your older vehicles like this, the way the wiring is routed is it goes from the battery to the fuse block out to your headlight switch and then to the headlights. Now that means that all the power that's going to your headlight has to first pass through the fuse block, through your headlight switch, and then to the headlights. That's a lot of power to be traveling a lot of distance on the small wires that are usually in these systems. So as a result, you know, you're not really getting full power at the headlight. Because of that, what happens is a lot of people, when they upgrade to a modern halogen bulb such as this, the headlight switch in particular and the wiring to and from the headlight switch cannot take the draw that is required to run these you know, these more modern bulbs. These do take more power to run. So what you end up seeing is you see burnout headlight switches, you see melted wiring going to or from the headlight switch. That's a bad thing, guys. So in order to remedy this problem, we got on eBay again and we found this headlight relay wiring kit. What this kit does is, instead of having the power for the headlights pass through your headlight switch and then out, you know, through those wires to your headlights, what this is going to do is this is going to put a couple relays right by your headlights, and all your headlight switch is going to be doing is triggering those relays. Then you've got a hot wire, a thicker wire that runs to your battery, runs straight from your battery to the relay to the headlights. So this is going to give your headlights all the power they need without worrying about melting down headlight switches, melting harnesses, things of that nature. Here's what you get, guys. And again, this was really cheap. I think I paid $13, something like that, for this. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to go ahead and show you a screenshot of the seller I got this from and what I paid for it right now. This is the harness that I used. H4 headlamp, or a headlight, 2 headlamp, ceramic relay, you know. You can just type in H4 relay harness, and I believe that's what I typed in, and you will see a ton of these. Yes, it's made in China, obviously, but you know, it should be good. At worst case scenario, I may have to replace the relays, but all the wiring looks solid, and you know, it has the high temperature ceramic plugs for the headlights there, and that's good because these H4 bulbs do put out a lot of heat. But you can see here I paid $14.27 for that, and again, that was with free shipping. This is the seller I went with, and I'll just be honest with you guys, I didn't even research this one. I just, you know, I looked for the cheapest price that I could find that was still in the United States, and that's the one that I clicked on. So now that you've seen that, here's what you get, okay? You've got your harness going to your relays. You've got ceramic plugs to go into the back of your lights. You're going to notice each plug has its own ground, okay? So, you know, you can be sure your lights are going to get a good ground because coming out of the back of each plug is, well, the ground. The easy way to install this is you simply plug this into one of your old headlight plugs, and it uses your headlight plugs then to activate the relays, which sends power out to these. The only real wiring you have to do is, of course, you know, you want to screw your grounds in next to each headlight, and you're going to have this main thick power wire here that you have to wire directly to your battery. This does come with an inline fuse as well. For the purpose of this video, I am going to show you just hooking it up the way it comes, which is plugging it straight into one of your old headlight plugs. It's not how I'm going to leave mine. I don't want to leave all that wiring under the hood, so what I'm going to do is after this video, I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to cut the old plug out, cut all the old wiring out, run this harness back as far as, well, as far as there's enough harness to run. And then I'm going to go ahead and hardwire my harness in and solder all the connections together. That's going to allow me to get all the old wiring and harnesses, you know, and the old plugs and stuff out from under my hood. Something else I'm worried about is, you know, every connection you have is another connection that could get corrosion in it, moisture, things like that. So, like I said, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to install it the way it's intended to be installed, but then I'm going to go back later and actually hardwire it in to clean things up a little bit. Whether you want to do that or not is up to you. First thing we want to do is get our old headlights out. In order to do that, I'm going to remove these screws and take this trim piece off. Don't forget this little guy hidden under here. Now with your trim panel removed, you're going to have a screw up here, over here, and down here, and that's going to release the retention ring that holds the actual headlight in. Be careful as you're taking those screws out, because again, that's what's holding the headlight in. So as you're taking those screws out, sometimes it wants to fall out. There you go, guys. Headlights out. Now this is by far the easiest step of this entire procedure, because all you have to do is take your old headlight, unplug it, and remove it. Then we're going to take our new headlight, and we're not going to plug it in because we've got that harness to install, but we're just going to set it in here, put our trim ring around it, and put those 3 screws back in. Now at this point, if you didn't buy the relay harness, and again, that's up to you, but I highly recommend getting it. It's only $14. But if you didn't buy the relay harness, this is the step where you just simply plug the new headlight in, put those 3 screws in, put your trim piece back on, and you're done. At least until your headlight switch burns up from the extra load. But for those of us who have really bad luck and actually name their YouTube channel Bad Luck Garage because of it, we're not going to take any chances. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the new headlight in, put the trim ring back in to hold it, put the trim piece back on, and then we're going to work on the wire harness. So don't even bother plugging that old harness back in yet, guys. We got our new headlight in. Kind of compare it to the old one. I think that looks great, guys. At this point, if you didn't get the harness, you've already plugged your headlight in, and you just got to do the other side and you're done. But if you're choosing to do this the right way and not take any chances, then just give me a few minutes to put this other headlight bulb in and we'll move on to the harness. Unfortunately, it has started raining outside, so we had to move the truck up here to the edge of the garage for me to finish with the second part of this install. On to the harness. In this video, you're going to see me just running this harness across the top of here. The reason you're going to see me doing that is because mine's not going to stay that way. For your permanent installation, what you're going to want to do is run this harness, well, on my C10, I would run it underneath the support, just like the original harness. You know, you want to go ahead and tuck it. I'm not doing that yet because, as I've already mentioned earlier, when I finish here, I'm going to come back and actually hardwire this harness in and pull all the old wires out of my old harness. You guys don't need to see all that. It's just extra footage. It's going to make this video longer, so that's why you're just seeing this draped across here right now. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and run your harness across. Now the reason I'm saying start with running the harness across the vehicle is because you want to make sure, first off, that the harness is long enough to reach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my passenger side headlight plug, which has the ground coming off of it here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it over here, and I'm going to plug it into my passenger side, my new passenger side headlight. Now a good spot to ground this to is actually going to be right here where our factory harness was grounded. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. On the driver's side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to plug our harness in to our new headlight down there, and we're going to attach the ground to our factory grounding point. Now that we've got both of our headlights hooked up, we need to find a place to mount our relays. If you have to, you could use a self-tapping screw. Just mount it somewhere where they're convenient, but hopefully where they won't get any moisture on them, and you should be okay. I decided to mount my relays a little further over, closer to the battery. There was a body mount bolt here that was in a real convenient spot, and it'll, by doing that, it's going to take some of the slack out of this harness going to the passenger side. So unfortunately, the body bolt does not fit through this hole, so I'm just going to take my drill and enlarge this hole a little bit, and we should be good to go. We got our relays mounted right here on the firewall, or on the core support. Now we need to take our plug from our new harness and plug it into our driver's side headlight plug. Like so. And you can tuck that back down in here. And the only thing left to do at this point is connect our hot wire, our thick hot wire here, to our battery. Now there's several ways you could do this. Your battery is mounted on the passenger side. You're probably going to be better off running this harness from the passenger side to the driver's side rather than from the driver's side to the passenger side, because you want this lead wire here to be as close to your battery as possible. On our application, we could either run it over here to this distribution block that's on the side of the LS engines, or we could run it over here to our hot wire on our battery. I've decided that I want to hook my power wire up to the distribution block on the side of my LS engine. So this is going to require me to extend the wiring a few inches. So what I did is I got me another piece of wire here, got the old solder gun out, and we're going to extend the wiring. Didn't feel like busting out the heat gun, so we're just going to use the handy dandy cigarette lighter here, that I'm proud to say has not lit a cigarette in over 1.5 years. We are going to run this inside of our wire loom here. To be honest, the beginning of this procedure would have been a good time to disconnect the battery, but up until now, it's really not been an issue. So I can see if I cut it off right about here to tie back into this, that's going to give me enough room, enough slack that I can actually run the harness and tuck it under the battery tray out of sight. So that's where we're going to cut it. This was my father's gun. I found it in his old toolbox, so I figured I would try it out, but honestly I'm going to go back to my iron, because I actually do a pretty decent job with a solder iron. So yeah, we'll throw that old gun back in the toolbox. If you are not removing your factory harness on the passenger side or driver side, whatever side you didn't tap into, if you're not going to remove that harness, then you need to take some electrical tape or something and cover up all these terminals, because you don't want this bouncing around and shorting out. So yeah, I would definitely use some electrical tape and then maybe zip tie it somewhere so it's not bouncing around. I'm going to be removing that, so it's not an issue. All right, everything's hooked up. Our power wire's hooked up. We've got it run with our battery cable loom, which I'm going to throw some zip ties around that when I'm finished. Over to here, then it goes under the battery tray. The fuse holder is also under the battery tray. I like that. That'll protect it. The hood's not sealed up very well on some of these older vehicles. As you can see, water drips inside sometimes, so you want to make sure things are where they're not going to get wet. We've got our headlights plugged in, got our relays mounted. Only thing left to do is to test it. All right, guys, moment of truth. Success. And the bright lights? Oh yeah, that's way brighter. That's not even with it running, guys. I'm sure if you start it, it's going to get even brighter. Oh yeah, those are super bright. Okay guys, so there you have it. We've upgraded the headlights in Project SteppinWolf, and I gotta say, they are probably at least 50% brighter, if not 100% brighter than they were before doing this upgrade. Also really happy with the fact that they look like factory headlights, so going down the road, nobody's gonna really know that I've changed my headlights, other than the fact that they're gonna probably be blind in them. This video was showing you how to do it, you know, the easy way, the way the harness is meant to be used. Just plug and play, one wire to hook up otherwise. And I'm going to be going back and actually removing all my old sockets that used to plug into the back of the sealed beam bulbs. I'm just going to pull all that wiring out of the harness back to the corner here. I'm going to hardwire in that harness. So essentially that harness that I just put in will be my new headlight harness. There's really not much more to doing it that way than what I just showed you guys. Basically, the only difference is instead of plugging the harness in, you're going to cut that plug off the harness and you're going to cut the plug off of the driver's side or passenger side, whichever one that you decided to use based on where your battery was located. And you're just going to hardwire those 3 wires together, solder them. Don't use crimp connectors. Just make sure that they've got a good connection, because that's going to make it a permanent part of your wiring in your vehicle. So you don't want to chance that with, you know, some crimp connectors or butt connectors, or worse yet, I've even seen people use, you know, the twist connectors like you would use in house wiring. The best part about this upgrade is it also allows me in the future, if I want to come in, and I do plan on doing this, and maybe test some LED headlights or maybe even a HID upgrade kit, it's just going to be plug and play now. So if this video helped you out, be sure to hit the like button and share it if you know someone else who might need this information. Also, don't forget to subscribe, or maybe check out some of the other how-to videos, the product reviews, or maybe even the turbo build on Project SteppinWolf here. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.